This is a nifty 50. Almost all the photographers or videographers has 50mm lens in their camera bag. And this is a weirdo 50. I'm calling it weirdo because this thing rotates. This thing is from AstrHori, and we're gonna talk about this lens today. In today's video, we are going to talk about this unique lens. This lens is made by a company called AstrHori, and the lens that I'm holding in my hand is a 1.4 50mm lens. This lens is an E-mount, but there is different mount options. You might want to check the mount. Before we further do, I would like to talk about the build quality of this lens. This one is a beast because other than this mount cap, everything is metal. Everything what you see on this lens is, including the lens cap, it's metal. So this lens is gonna last for a long time when you get it. One thing that I should right away say that this is a manual lens, so there is no electronics in this lens. If you're planning to use it with your mirrorless camera, and if you're really used to automatic lenses, this might be a little bit weird in the beginning, but if you are already dealing with manual lenses, or if you have worked with them before, it's really actually easy to use this lens. Aperture size on this lens is between 1.4 till 16, so it lets a lot of light come into your sensor, which is really good in low light, and you're able to get that kind of creamy bokeh, which is also really nice. But when you twist this lens, you're able to show one object or what you're trying to show to the viewer. For example, a glass or a whiskey bottle or whatever you want to show, you can just direct viewer's eyes to that object, which makes this lens quite unique in my opinion. For example, if you have some clients which is looking for something new, something different, this is a really good lens to kind of show off, because you can differentiate your shots from the others. And if that company is looking for a shot which lifts up their product and which focuses to their object or product, this is a really nice lens to do that. So I think if you're looking for a lens to get some unique shots, this is the one. One thing that when you're using the lens, it's really ideal to use focus peaking on your camera. For example, Sony cameras, has it. For example, I'm using it with the Sony a7 IV, and when you use it with the focus peaking, you're able to kind of adjust where the focus should be. Because when you start to switch the angle of the lens, which you can go really wild, you will it's super hard to explain this, but you will manipulate the shot. So you would like to see what you're doing while you're adjusting your lens. So that's why I think focus peaking is a key function when you're using this lens. So make sure that you turn on that on your camera. This lens has 7 elements, so when you're having that kind of bokeh and if there's some lights in the background, as I was mentioning in the beginning of the video, everything is manual on this lens. There's no electronics, so your aperture and your focus, you have to adjust those, which is ideal on this lens because after you twist this, everything is gonna change. It's nice to have full control on those settings, that's for sure. I have been talking already a lot of good things about this lens, and you might be wondering, is there some bad stuff about this lens? There's some things, but I don't know if they're bad. I think that's really objective. For example, when you listen this part, which kind of holds the lens, that it will stay in one position, and I mean, when you tighten this up, normally I think this shouldn't move, right? It should stay in place, but actually you can still move it if you force it. So I don't know if it's supposed to be like this, but I kind of like it because if I'm taking pictures or if I'm shooting a video, and if I want to change the angle, normally I have to unscrew this, right? And then do that, and then I have to tighten it again, and it's I don't think that's ideal. And if it's meant to be stay in place, I don't know, maybe I should send a mail to company and ask before I talk about this. But if that's something which would bother you, that it will still move, I mean, it's kind of I like it that it moves because I don't want to unscrew this, adjust and screw again, because it's gonna move when I do that, right? So I kind of like that it's still moving when I tighten this up. So then I can switch the angles even when I'm shooting something. I mean, if I'm shooting a video, it would totally it's totally different story, that the shot will be so interesting. I like that feature for sure on this one. I don't know if it's a feature again, but I like it for sure. Another thing about this lens is the filter size is so weird, because 46 is the filter size. I think it can be trouble to find some ND filters to this. So in the controlled environment, which I usually use this lens, it's totally fine. And if you take it outside and if you know what you're doing, it will be still fine. But there can be some cases which there's super sunny weather, and then you're trying to wide open 1.4, and then you need the ND filter. That can be an issue. I don't know how to solve this right now, but hey, there's a catch. So if this is something which is gonna bug you a lot, there's that. But other than that, I can highly recommend this lens to anybody which is on the market to buy a 50mm lens. And usually 50mm lenses are, you know, nifty 50s are like not super expensive. And again, this is also not expensive. And if you want to check this lens, there's going to be a link down in the description. You can use that link to check this lens. And I think for most of the people, this lens is way much more better than getting a 50mm lens. And if you're worried about using a manual lens, that's actually something that I think every photographer or videographer should learn. And you know, how to use a manual lens is, I think, really important, because I kind of don't like it if everything is automatic. Sometimes it's good, and if you really need that, you can just switch lens and then you can go with that one, because this lens is, you know, something really different and unique that you would like to use it in specific cases anyway. And then I think that, you know, it will be not a problem that this is a manual lens. For me, it's totally fine. I like manual lenses. I like adapting different kind of lenses and different adapters to different cameras and different, you know, even brands. For example, here's an example. This is a Canon lens with a Micro Four Thirds, you know, mount to, you know, use it on a Micro Four Thirds camera, and it goes a totally different focal length, and you can get totally different look from this simple lens. So I highly recommend you to play with your cameras a little than just snapping a, you know, automatic lens and then just, you know, in most of the cases actually this is really good and really easy to use and simple, but this is a unique thing to have than just regular look, in my opinion. And that's why I highly recommend you to get, instead of a 50mm automatic lens, this kind of manual lens with a unique feature. I hope this video was helpful for you guys, and if you have any questions about this lens, feel free to drop a comment down below. And again, I will put links down in the description if you want to check this lens. And again, there's different mount options. This is, for example, an E mount. There is E mount, X mount, Z mount, RF mount, and L mount. So, you know, there's quite many options if you want to pick this lens. Check the link down below. And if you're interested to see more content about this lens, I'm gonna make more videos about this lens for sure, so crush the subscribe button. And if you like the video, please crush the like button as well. It helps the channel a lot. That's it for today, guys. Again, don't forget to subscribe and crush the like button, and I will see you guys in the next one.